don't know if we're still having people knocking at a door with no visibility.
My understanding is from what Bucky communicated to me is that they had already discussed it. They talked about what needs to do. I didn't get the new procedure if written out per se,
Okay.
but that they had discussed the security concerns and made whatever changes were they need to do.
All right.
So I assume that was going to be communicated to the personnel that were going to be in that location when they're present there.
All right. I had some concerns about busing, but I don't know if we want to wait until after.
We are going to talk about transportation as a whole. So if you don't mind, and if I slightly forget for a second, raise your hand again. We're going to talk about transportation as a group because I know there are some concerns and Gwen does have some updates on that side. And so if she doesn't in her report satisfy any of the updates, then we'll address your concern at the same time.
Right.
Just so that way, if there's multiple bus things, we can group it all together. Okay. Anybody else? Public? Yes.
I think in your comments that you are going to share the applications for the secretary with the unions. I assume that you are under no obligation to do so, so it's your decision to share.
The applications?
You meant job
The job description?
You meant description, not application.
Oh, I
Description.
apologize. I apologize. Job
Right.
description. And there was communication with the local 1303 Council 4 rep because the job description that we currently have in our policy book was dated 1995. So I'm going to take jumps and leaps that we've made them.
Yeah, I have no problem with
Okay.
the job description. I think
Yeah.
that's it.
I apologize.
Okay, thank you.
The brain was all muddled together, but no, it's the actual job description to maybe update it into the 21st century. So, okay. Anything else from the public right now? Okay. And we have the regular meeting minutes from July 27th. Is there anything on there that needs to be corrected or everything was good? And if so, can I have a motion? Joan makes a motion to approve the
Second.
July 22nd. Eric makes a motion to second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Also enclosed were the July 28th Rosewing Committee meetings. Rosewing Committee meeting minutes. Brain's not working tonight. Any questions or reviews on that one?
And what's that low bid, South Windsor, I'm curious. I didn't say in here, it's a low bid, I was just curious.
Absolutely amazing that different idea of it, and it's like,
All right. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes? I'll make a motion. Kelly makes a motion. Can I have a second?
Second.
Eric makes a second. Any comments? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. And first time sitting at the big kids table, Mr. Shaw. Welcome to the elementary school principal.
although it still says I'm acting.
Yeah.
So, I don't have costumes right now, so it's not
Okay.
really a lesbian thing. And now you just want me to go through?
Well, I can speak to the assistant principal status. We will be communicating so that an offer can be made tomorrow. So by the next board meeting, we should have a further updated status with a new face. Okay, attached there. All right. Do you have anything on the teacher assignments? Was that?
Yeah, we did. We finalized our teaching positions yesterday. We have Mr. Brendan Clark teaching 3rd grade, Mrs. Taylor Crawford teaching 1st.
Ray Crawford.
Crawford, yeah. Mrs. Laura Gatlin in art. Mrs. Debbie Holmes in grade 1. And Mrs. Jillian Payan, grade 3.
P-E-Y-A-N-T.
P-A-Y-A-N-T.
You know which one was A and which one was E?
I believe A is Mr. Clark and E is Ms. Payan, but
Only because
I will find out.
Oh, you know.
I think I got an email from someone in the audience today even, and I'm like, ooh, I think it's A. I think A was Clark and E was Dion, but I will check that tomorrow.
And, the NIAC accreditation.
Okay. I did, and I apologize, there's a
Oh, wait,
typo
I have
on
a
my
question. Can we
report.
go back on that? I have a tiny question. Who moved to 4th?
Mrs. Crawford is of course.
Oh, Crawford is 4th. I wrote first.
Oh, I wrote first too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I might have said it that way, you're right, I did. I wrote first even. Crawford's in fourth. Holmes is first.
Thank you.
Who's on? No.
I don't know who's on board.
Just kidding. In terms of NAEYC accreditation, I have been working on that, and so the staff with Sherry Lambert from EastCon. The initial attempt to renew report has been submitted. The 72 or there's a 72-hour report or self-report form that has to be submitted when there's a change in location or leadership. So that's been submitted, putting myself in. I have been working with Mrs. Brown, the Director of Pupil Services, to work out the education criterion that the NAEYC requires for the teacher aides that work with the children. Right now, there are 14 standards or 14 strands in Standard 6, and one of them is that assistant teachers in NAEYC program classrooms, which would be our pre-K and our K, have certain levels of education in early childhood. And there's a whole list of them, so to go through them it would be challenging, but you could have an associate's or higher in early childhood. You could have a child development associate certificate, which is called a CDA. You can be working towards a CDA, which is just taking a course. You can have a degree in a completely non-early childhood subject, but have 3 years working in an NAEYC accredited program. You can have a degree in a non-ECE early childhood ed program and not have the 3 years, but have 30 hours of training. So there's a bunch of different formulas, different ways to meet the requirement. So she and I have been looking at the staff looking at the staff requirements and what our staff has currently as we are assigning the paraeducators to the classrooms. We do have a number of staff who currently were working in pre-K and K who are willing to move towards work on getting the CDA requirement.
Was that the email, that you sent? Okay.
I did send, and then just tonight I found a very similar program that is about half the cost of the one that I showed you, which I did forward with you, but you were probably here.
I read it.
So I was very excited about that one. I had never heard of this program, but there are a number of programs who work with the Council for Professional Recognition, and they are who issue the CDA. And they require 120 hours of coursework, if you will, and a portfolio that would go along with that and some assessments. And then it requires a CDA professional to come out and observe them working with children.
So this is a new requirement for our paras that are currently in our pre-K and K.
It's not a new requirement.
So we should theoretically have some of that?
We should have some of that, yeah. It seems, I don't know that since the last accreditation period, if people really knew what those education requirements were for the paraeducators as well. I will say that it's criterion that is always assessed, but is not considered required by NAEYC. However, it is what they believe to be best practice, and we have to meet 80%, and there's 14 strands in Standard 6, so we would have to be near perfect on everything else.
So you've had discussions already?
So we've already
them
had
about,
discussions.
Do you want to go to school?
I've spoken to the staff. The one thing that I just wanted to The 1303's contract does offer tuition reimbursement. They have to complete the course. It does say up to 500 per person per year with a maximum of 2,500 for the group, for the whole bargaining group. And I do have 3 staff that had said that have expressed an interest in starting that process. The original program that I had looked at that I have worked with before was about $900 to take a 1-year training period, the 120 hours. And just tonight, as I was going through it, trying to find a better option, I found that one that's about half the price.
So you can do free instead of two.
So I could probably,
$358
if they're paid in full.
Okay,
And it
so-
is understood that they would have to, the staff would front the money. And then once they complete the coursework with, passing it, then they would get reimbursement. And then there would be another component with the Council for Professional Recognition sending out an observer. So to actually apply for your CDA, it's another $425 to have someone come out and do all that.
But they do all 3 at once.
But they would do that at the end too.
Right.
And actually, a relative of yours did it recently in my previous district. So, went through the whole process. It was very easy. But that actual, that piece would be, going for the next, they would come out and then that would be reimbursed once they got the CDA, the actual certificate.
So instead of what we had talked about, the $900 course fee plus, it would still be the $125 on top of that as well for the,
No, 425.
oh, $425.
But we would be doing that, remember we talked about maybe doing it over a couple of years, so
Okay.
it wasn't.
Okay, so we wouldn't have to approach the union with the agreement of splitting, so that way they didn't tap their entire $2,500
Correct.
a year, because now the $358, so we'll round up even numbers, 400.
400.
3 is 1,200, so that still allows,
Then to take the full coursework in this fiscal year, and then next fiscal year get the CDA itself, and that would be reimbursed,
okay,
once they got it, I would think.
okay. All right, so do I need to read the language to you? Just as I'm looking May to you as somebody who possibly has done this before. This is the board shall provide tuition assistance or subject to the advance approval of the superintendent, such courses that include skills required in the job. Do we technically need the superintendent's permission, because now we're not having to worry about splitting the cost between these, because now we found a lesser cost? Our concern was before is that we had 300 to 900, we would exceed the 2,500, so nobody else in the union would be able to do anything. Shelley had a conversation with Wendy, who's the union rep at the school level, saying, let's, if they could work on a possible agreement of, do half of it this year, then be reimbursed half of it next year, so that not only does it split it for the board for fiscal years, but also split it so the union's not killing, 3 people are killing their tuition budget. So do we as the board make a formal motion to accept that tuition?
No, I don't think so. I think it's within the contract that the
Okay.
employees can.
Because
work
we're not
within.
exceeding any
Yeah,
of the levels of, okay.
Right. And if down the road we need to appropriate more funds, I think we just need to have that conversation.
Because it looks like everything, the 3 that would be 1,200, so that's.
When I literally was on, before coming here, I went online and went, oh, and I called and was like, oh, this is even better. I was thrilled.
All right,
Oh, good.
all right. So you can work out the information. I know that you had parents that had said that they wanted to do that, because also that would keep the parents in the preschool level, because they would have that certification. And so that way,
Working on it and that's
doing
all
the
right.
rights. Okay.
And working on it qualifies, but I would also want to preface that it, with an AEYC, in my previous district, they have to renew every 3 years, so there's a process. I think it's about $125 to renew every 3 years, and they have to have so much professional development and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that if we're going to pay for this, it's something to think about for the board, but we really need to keep once they get their CBA, they need to be in pre-K and K. Because we funded it, and then to have them move, once we've paid, say, $1,000 for them to get this certificate, and then all of a sudden to say, okay, but this year you're gonna work in second grade. Now we need somebody with the requirements.
It'll be pretty much guaranteed that they stay.
It would keep
certified
them there, and then going forward, I think that would be something we would look to when we hired even, what the hiring practice would be for pre-K and K
Or
for
you
educators.
may or may not know that their contract is up for discussion
It
in
do.
this year, so there may be things that we
Yes.
can talk about when we're doing that.
And you can certainly tap my brain, because I have actually written language for a previous district on that exact piece for their union.
All right, so we don't have to make a motion.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. We're the one concerned if we had to split, but now that we're not having to split it. Anything else from the elementary school level that you need to report on?
I just want to say how fabulous our building looks due to our wonderful custodial staff. And I absolutely have to give a shout out for Mrs. McCallum, who without I would be very challenged in my new role.
She gives you maps to find your way out.
She gave me maps. I do how to get around the building now, but she's phenomenal. So I just wanted to give those people that have been there in my first month and really made it just an easy transition. And now I'm very back to.
All right.
And Alan,
Cool, welcome back.
What's that?
Welcome back to the
Oh,
table.
thank you. It's good to be back. No kidding. Same thing, what I wrote in the board report, it's pretty invisible, in those people, but the amount of work that goes on during the summer, it's incredible. And the secretarial staff, I do mention before about Carrie and Mary Beth, but also in the superintendent's office, there's a ton of work. So, when we open up, it looks pretty smooth and easy, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on. And I think you guys know that, but I wanted to.
Having been here and jumped over the boxes to try and get to you, but yes.
Climbed in my window.
Yeah,
Literally climbed in my window last week.
So I did want to, and we have, Joanne was pitching in, so there's been all these different bodies pitching in to help make the opening of the dam. And the custodial staff every year, our buildings look good year in and year out. Back here, and our community and kids, I want to keep emphasizing, there's a care that our kids take of the building too. It's not as though, we're dealing with terrible things, but if something happens, our staff is on it right away. So it really helps to give a really pleasant atmosphere. We do have 3 new teachers that I wrote for our building. Denise is coming over from the elementary school. We also have Matthew Kiefer. 1 F, I put 2 Fs, I think that's some, 1 F. And Sarah Gilpatrick. And we feel we got 3 really terrific people looking forward and helping make us a better school. As you know, open house is the 7th. We also run concurrently the high school choice fair.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah.
That you do it.
Which has worked out really. So originally we started doing it in November, the high school choice fair. We had nobody. And then there were people, I think Joan might have been once, why did we do it on open house? So 4 or 5 years ago, I guess we started doing it on open house there. It's a big success. It gives people a chance, and it's open to all grades, although it's geared for the 8th grade. It does give a chance for parents to get 6th, 7th that book in and say, I'm going to have to make this decision down the road. A lot of people have already made it by this point, but I would say there's also a significant number who are still on the fence about what they're going to do. We also have an assembly where our kids meet with the representatives from different schools, and they've also bused 2 designated schools. That'll take place later. We do have Ellis Tech come to our building, not only meet with our 8th graders, but with our 7th graders. We do that early in the year. The 7th graders, middle of the year, they look at the 7th grade report cards, and that's one of the huge pieces. So if there are students interested in going to Ellis, and it's pretty competitive, their 7th grade counts, and a lot of times 7th graders aren't thinking about that, it's there. But they already have to start making adult kind of decisions because it really impacts. So what they're doing here in the middle school has a big impact on what's going to happen to them later on. So,
what time is the open house?
7 o'clock. We're not going to report anything on CMTNS tech, but Shelley and I together we've got preliminary data, and we did a quick down and dirty, let's get some things out so you guys can see what, again, it's just a quick snapshot. We'll have a much more in-depth presentation after staff has had a chance to digest the data from testing to surveys, all that stuff. We'll get that all sorted out. And we'll have it pretty
And how we can drill down to see how it's going to impact our goals moving forward. But this is just a snapshot of how we do.
Yeah, we put out a professional development agenda so that you can see that. We have Jane Cook working with us. So we hope to really dig in this year with math. We didn't quite finish math. Math was, as you know, that work in progress last year. ELA really, although it's always working on curriculum, so it's not it's some, but ELA, we've done a pretty good job with that. Now it's really focusing more heavily this year on math. Science now, we're going to have to do that. There's new next generation science coming up. And we hope to work with social sciences. So there's a lot of things on our plate. There's going to be a lot of work on this year. And you also had in the on my thing some of the key calendar event things that are coming up there. I'm not sure if anybody had any questions.
I do. Can you talk about a meeting with Dr. Harden and the academy?
Oh,
Please.
so I met with Dr. Mike Hart a couple weeks ago, I think it was, and setting up a meeting with our new math teacher. Our new math teacher comes with pretty high credentials. She's a terrific math student. I think she won the math award around college. So she comes with a strong academic background. I've set up a meeting tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow our math teacher will meet with the Woodstock Academy Math Department Chair. They've already shared curriculum resources. I asked 2 weeks ago if that stuff was receptive. That was. So Sarah has been in communication already with the department chair. I'll be sitting in that meeting too. And I'm going to also set up a meeting with the Killeen High School department chair. Because we have to be Brooklyn. There's got to be Brooklyn so if our kids go to the committee. So we'll do it encompass as much as we can. But it's going to be the Brooklyn math curriculum. So, but everybody should be pretty close. It's a common core, and I can't imagine it being that much difference. So, but Sarah's already been in a bunch of days. She's already up to speed with a lot of things around common core. Her background, the new kids coming out of school have that background. She had a portion of the year last year teaching, so she's been immersed in a good deal of this stuff.
Spanish too? Did you talk with Dr. Harden about Spanish?
I did not.
No?
I did not. But we're
Have
going.
to get for me.
But on election day, we're going. A number of our teachers are going to go up to the academy for the departmental.
Fantastic.
So, and it's everybody's been working on Common Core, all these different things. Now is the right time for schools to get going. We have solidified things, and it makes sense for us to start. Now that's not rock solid. It is it's time to start seeing how things need.
Right, that's fantastic. I mean, even in terms of Ellis and the number of kids that we have going to Ellis, we might want to think about doing that as a group thing. Get the Killingley rep, get the Woodstock rep, get the Ellis rep, and all the math people.
Yes, I one of these comments might do something to what's the not charges.
Right.
Wait, let's talk to the East Side liaison.
Yeah. I will ask.
Yeah, but as long as we're not charged, it might be an interesting way of getting all.
You won't have to go there.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, that'll work.
So look at that. Other questions at all? So like we said, this is a quick snapshot. Shelley's gonna start off.
Anybody mind if I stand up?
No,
Please.
I can't. It is not sitting down. Okay. So as you know, these scores were from last year's Smarter Ballot, so I had to take a little bit of time to look at how Brooklyn did, I finally got into the website that, had my login and username and things. This is just a quick chart. This is alphabetized. This is Windham County. And the way that the state displays this is by the school and the both third and fourth grade scores. It's an aggregate. The next slide I have, or next two slides I have, kind of break it out. But Brooklyn is in Derby. I can say these other schools, the district reference groups go from A to I. And we're in E, so I did let you know, like, some are above us, some are below us, and where they fell. If there's an asterisk, it's because for whatever reason the state did not, there wasn't a report out for that district's grade levels. So you can see that we, he did change the slide. So this, can you go back one more though? What I can tell you is I also look at this, and again, a snapshot, but I've also looked at this based on the state, the district reference group, and the county, because I know people want to look at the towns, surrounding towns, but also the towns that we are grouped with. But I can tell you that in English Language Arts in grade 3, Brooklyn Elementary placed 21st out of 24 towns in the DIRG. There were more, but I have this little bit, some didn't present, and 111th out of 189 in the state. So that was our third graders last year. In grade 4, this one really impressed me. These are your fifth graders out. I'm a little jealous, but I gave them up already. They scored 8 out of 24th in the DIRG. Oh, never mind. Now I got that. I have a piece of paper in my hand. And 47th out of 189 towns that report in the state. So that's a great score for last year. So Sarah, Denise, nice job, good job. Fourth grade teachers. Math grade 3, 20th out of 24, 129th out of 189th in the state. And then math grade 4, 12th out of 24, 95th out of 189. So that fourth grade coming in, that your fifth graders this year, Al, are primed to move along that. I'm going to be watching them for you. Now you can switch to the page. And then this is mapped by the county, so that we could see where we actually fell in the surrounding towns. So in math in grade 3, only 5 schools scored better than we did. And in math, in grade 4, only 4 schools scored better than we did. And you can also see that some of the district reference groups are arranged by, there's a number of factors. They look at median income, percent of households with 2 parents, percent of households with college-educated families versus not. So that they take a lot into consideration when they make those groups. However, I will say they haven't realigned the DIRG since 2006, was it? Al? I think so. It's been about 10 years, 9-10 years since they've looked at that, and we suspect that DIRG E has a huge number of towns in it compared to some of the others, and we think that sort of tends to be a catch-all for, like, oh, we're not really here, but we're not really there either, so let's put them in E. And then we can go to the ELA scores. And again, in grade 3, 6 towns in the surrounding area scored better, or as well better, but in grade 4, in ELA, only Woodstock in Windham County outperformed. So really, there's many ways, and Al noticed that we will drill down, and we will have the state rankings. I came from a district that looked at where did we fall in the state, where did we fall in our reference group? Where did we fall in our county? So I kind of, that's why you'll hear all of those things from me, because I'm just used to looking at the data that deeply. But these scores, you know, I was quite impressed with Brooklyn's scores, but once we have a chance to sit down with staff and take a look at those individual scores and where are we going to take them, because, you know, my goal is always to be up at the top, whether it be the state, the DERB, or the county. All right, I'm done.
So.
Unless anyone has any questions. Okay.
So at the middle school, the first slide I have is schools in Windham County and showing math, and it's done rank order. So at the top was Concord, and Brooklyn was smack in the middle. And you can see also that state of Connecticut's in there. Connecticut's in there also. And it shows a change in the between right-hand column. So we went up 8 points. We expect we could do much better the following year, but this is all part of the process. The next slide shows language arts. We are just short of the very top by 0.42, so represented 72%, and we had an 11.07% growth. This shows the number of students, like percent of students at each grade level, 5, 6, 7, 8, who were level 3 or above. The left-hand column is arts, the other side mathematics. It shows. So it's indicative of where we've been with our work. We've relative to ELA work. Now we're into math work, and so we expect we'll start to see big gains. And as a district, well, let me just go back one again. If you take a look, there's growth in math, although the math scores aren't where we would want them to be at this point. We are going in the right direction. And then this is the district. Just the overall, they just have the district. And district 69.5%, the 3 or above. That's a 6.3% increase. And in math, 39%, for 3 or above, and that's 4.6% increase. So, as a district, that's we're moving. And I believe the state average growth was in the 3s, so 3 point something. So the fact that we're growing, and this is kind of what it's been like when we did CMPs. We just kept growing. Once we do, okay, this is what it is. Figured out how, what materials and where it should fit in the curriculum. We've just steadily made growth. So that would be the expectation. We have yet to get the science scores, so CMP science has not been released yet. And my understanding is it will not be released, at least the number we can say. So that's where we're at. So that's the quick, so you guys have that, information. Any questions?
I always like to digest this and then talk about it one at a time.
It'll take a few minutes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have more in depth, and our goals will be based on when we start looking at this stuff. So give staff a real chance to do this. So it'll be around this.
So I think just the improvement with ELA in the middle school since the writing program was put in place. What's the name of the online program that Sharon Watson and Apple were put in this? So you've done.
And Google Docs has been really big.
My
Smart
access.
boards.
My access.
That's it. Yes, it's wonderful. I know that went in place when my kids were in fifth grade, the pilot. So that's done some time now, like 7 years, and you can see that improvement. Great. Good stuff.
Charts.
Well, I've got a spreadsheet, if you wanna take a look, I'll send it to you.
Let me do this one first. I like the charts. Al, anything else from middle school that we need to report on? I'm sure you'll have lots to talk to us about once you guys get through your PDAs. And the special education report is in there. Any questions on that? So I can answer that for you. Questions on that? I was under the assumption, and perhaps I assumed wrong, that Sherry was going to be here this evening to explain our new reports from the new system to the old system. I do know that in the reports that are in the financial reports that are in there, that we returned $150.75 to the town. Wow. And 75 cents.
We go to lunch?
So we can ask.
So we came pretty close.
Yeah, we can ask Jeff to see if Rick would lunch on that.
Or retreat.
And bring it, Rick.
Somebody was going the whole week. Maybe.
Maybe we could have cookies at all of our meetings and water. Molly would never survive here.
All right, so, and Jeff, I'm not gonna ask you to try and decipher the new accounting reports, because I tried listening at Board of Finance and digest them without actually looking at the reports, and got completely lost.
I'm
So,
a little surprised she's not here to begin to explain this, because these reports will be coming out monthly, and it strikes me as a little too much information to absorb just looking at it for the first time.
well, and especially since we haven't gotten these reports in the past.
Yeah, I think she was intending to be here and something from what she could not be here today.
So we'll have to go over reports again so that we can kind of understand, because I know with the Board of Finance, she actually kind of walked the members through a couple of the different things, so, to kind of make sense of the gibberish. That's what I'm thinking. All right. I believe somebody else verified for me. The vouchers are the bills that need to be approved tonight. I would say
So they're actually being generated out of the new system.
well, it should be, because the new system should be live as of July
Yeah, but
1st.
that's great.
So,
Can I ask you something? Why do we do this when we have already spent money?
It doesn't look like they're actually paid.
I don't think these have to be.
Because see, it has check number, it doesn't have a check number next to it yet.
and then we'll get the
But in
voucher
the
back.
past, when we approved the bills,
Oh, they were
the money's already been spent, the invoice has been received. So what are we gonna say? No, don't pay the bill?
No, I think it's just to keep everybody abreast of where the money's going, because I think we voted many years ago that we did not. But then people want to spend it, so the bills were here, but Susan was already paid.
I just don't understand what I'm, oh,
It's always a big.
you know, give it the information.
Toilet paper.
Yeah, so give this information, don't, oh, sorry.
Right.
Right?
Well, from what this is looking like,
I don't think it's.
No, there's no check number.
Yeah, there's no check number.
this was yesterday, this was printed yesterday, so I'm assuming that is not actually paid.
It also looks like it's the same object number for every expenditure on the report. So I suspect that this is similar to the report you presented at the Board of Finance meeting. It's just an illustration of the type of report we would get, rather than having it be a real report.
So you're gonna make the assumption that this is real bills?
And
Are
These
you
are
making
real
those
bills.
These are real bills?
No, they have to be. I mean, this one to 101 business solutions for 13/12/59. I mean, they're not just a one number. I'm sure they actually have a bill for 101 business solutions for that amount.
But I know that they were running both systems concurrently, so they could have just been imported data. I don't know what concern.
position, so. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know if it was voucher.
What does it have? These ones have, oh, I see, I mean, the account number.
Yeah,
Unless it's not populating.
Joanne, I'm sorry to ask, but do you know?
I can look at it. But
Since you work in the office.
It could be a.
I've never worked on that new system though.
No.
No.
Right, that it's pulling in all of one account number instead of. See these 1010, 199, 27, 100. It just is pulling up the same one on all.
I do know that.
These are live. They need to be approved.
Because last month, I did say that, I asked her how many times we were working, she said she had 8 bills from about a third of the amount of time that it used to take, so she was here for the
So there must be just a report glitch that doesn't match up to correct account numbers to the correct bill, yeah.
The account numbers are not.
Yeah,
The admin codes aren't.
Yeah.
So,
no,
Okay.
So the object numbers need to be identified, the account numbers.
the account
And
numbers
then
have to
written
run.
down, but we shouldn't hold up.
so, motion that we do it as
All right, may I make the motion to pay the bills as submitted? Do I have a second?
One second.
Joe, second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. Aye, all opposed? All right, so assignments were done by the principal, so that is all set. Oh, sorry, skipped one, sorry. The enrollment report is closed.
And growing, yes, and growing.
We're already up 9 kids, and there are more too in the elementary.
We had 5 registrations yesterday.
That happens every year.
I know.
Every year.
Well, people all of a sudden have decided that, oh, school's starting next week, maybe I should go
Takes
register.
them by surprise every year.
Oh, I have children. Every time we see young children walking in, we're like, uh-oh, what are they doing?
Yeah, so
They're coming in all-
they were coming, I saw somebody in there this week.
Yeah.
There's so many houses stopping.
There are, there are.
Yes.
like crazy.
All right. So, any questions on that? All good?
Oh, we added a lot of high school students. Woodstock said they had 21 new, that's even more than 21
21 new ones from Brooklyn?
at finance. That,
You mean over what the,
Right.
I'm
Graduate
graduating.
class.
They aren't new,
No.
they're just a bigger class
Bigger
coming in
class.
and going out.
they told me that they had 21 additional from what they had been given at the end of the year
Well,
at Woodstock.
21 is.
Yeah, we don't have the money for that.
Which is why we want to pay based on our current enrollment.
Right, we need to get that.
Yes. So yes, at finance last week, they said they had 21 new enrollments from, I don't know if they're transfers from Killingly, if somebody changed their mind from Killingly or Ellis or wherever to Woodstock, but they have 21 more kids from our original number
In total,
in
9 through 12.
whatever number they were given in May, is it May?
Yeah.
They
They're
now
not
have
necessarily all freshmen, but.
21 more registrations.
Totally agree.
Kids signed up from Brooklyn.
Wow, so we said there were 54 in June, and we said there were 58 in August.
I don't know if they're all freshmen. They didn't break it down by
That's
grade.
all right. That's okay.
Yes,
So-
they need these students.
They could be transfers from one, like we could find that they're not going to Killingly, that they're now registered at Woodstock. I don't know what the process is, but they now, from their original number, they have 21 more Brooklyn kids
In total, 9 through 12.
in total.
Okay.
They did not break it down by grade.
but it looks like, I mean, I'm trying to cross.
It sits August 17th.
It's hard to tell because this is with the graduating class.
Well, because the first number would be still the actual, the June 17th number would be the, at that time,
At that time.
grade class, which now
No,
July.
this would be with the seniors that just graduated. This would be with should be with the incoming freshmen from the current
Okay,
seniors.
so, so if I'm comparing numbers, I need
Yeah.
to look at grade 9 here is
Grade 10.
here, right?
Right.
Okay, that's what I was like, oh my God, 32 to
So,
22.
so on
We
this
sent up a
form,
big- We sent up a big class.
Yes.
One of that,
Yeah.
so if you're looking at what the numbers were in June, it wouldn't make much.
no, he said that they were our final, like our enrollment figure that we gave them for total number of students. However, they do their,
Right.
as part of like the budgeting and all that kind of process was, I don't know, say 200 students. It is now 221 students. So wherever, whether we have new kids come into town or we've had transfers from one school to another, we are going to be billed for 21 more Woodstock Academy students.
We'll see what it looks like on
So-
October first.
Yes.
21 more than last year, but 21
No,
more than. the
21
number we
more than
gave
our
is shocking.
projected, yes.
Because it was 24 when I did the math with Joe Campbell at the academy. So
24
21
from,
would be good because we were saying 24 differential.
Right, and if you look at the August
Yeah,
17th,
Yeah.
the numbers are actually down. From July 22nd, the numbers are down.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And if you look at the 8th grade class, there were 109 kids, so that was a huge class.
well, I mean, even just in high school in general, from July 22nd to August 27th, it's up by 8 kids. So we definitely had more kids move in.
But they're not going on Woodstock.
They're not all going to Woodstock Academy.
No, because all the Woodstock numbers went down.
All the
Right,
Woodside,
the
there was
Killingly numbers are
59.
up.
Yeah.
Killingly numbers are up.
Oh, yeah.
Four ninth graders.
I don't know. I can
You
email
only
you.
know
more
what
details.
it says.
Well, that,
Yeah, because, I mean, 9th grade 59 to 58, 10th grade 55 to 52, 11, 38 to 36, 12, 48 to 38.
Oh, all 8 are listed in outside placement in whatever that is. See the increase?
Outplayed.
so,
Yeah, that's
but
what
it
all
goes
8
from 3 to
is.
11.
From 3 to 11.
There's 8 right there.
Oh.
Flip flops.
Oh,
So
right.
unless they all got lumped
Do
into
that.
one spot.
Do see that.
That. 3 outplayed teams, 11.
It may have just been lumped into one spot when they generated the report. I don't know how they, but anyway, I can send an email. It was just in the finance meeting, a big deal because they've been talking about enrollment figures and how Brooklyn's are the only ones that are going up. Everybody else is going down. It's just,
Did Woodstock change anything with their East End program for outplayed kids?
I don't know. I don't
They're
know.
wondering now.
Yeah.
Not that they mentioned. Like I said, all that was said was that there was 21 more than our original figure that was given to them.
October first.
Okay. I know. And like I said, I don't, it wasn't like, there wasn't a breakdown. It wasn't like, we have this many more freshmen versus seniors. It was just a comment.
Yeah, I think the numbers are really question too.
3 to
How did
11.
we go from 3 outplayed kids in 11th grade to 11? It's very low. Story behind that.
All right, so, I'm good with the enrollment report. Okay, the facilities calendar is attached as well. CA, Board Ed finally meets the facilities calendar.
Ooh, thank you, Carrie.
We're gonna be making it.
I noticed that Brooklyn, that the middle school picture day is listed on here, but the elementary is, do we have, is it the same time? I'm sure we have one.
Because this calendar is actually
Just the middle school?
well, it's
And
for
rec?
the, it's for the middle school stuff and most of the rec stuff happens here, except for some of vision, evening things at the elementary school, like the PTO orientation or the after school barbecue. From what I have, it's generally speaking, it's more of the EMS type of stuff. Oh,
We're now in an enviable position of where the audience is.
Yeah, right?
We've got the,
Right.
Kelly was asking that you had mentioned the middle school picture day
Is on the
is
calendar.
on the calendar, but the elementary school picture day is not on the calendar.
I do know that Mrs. McCallum filled out a whole bunch of building use forms
Okay,
today.
okay, okay,
Uh,
so it may just
That
say
just
across.
didn't, so it may not be that it came through, but she was making sure that all my faculty meetings and tech meetings and everything were going out.
Okay,
Were filled out
okay.
today, so.
And
I will
I know when I
check
was
on that,
talking to
though, to be
Nathan
sure.
last week, Harry was still inputting.
It's usually a couple steps, like the, one day is middle school and then 2 days are elementary, usually. But
I will.
I like to be
I'm sure you'll
prepared.
get lots of notices.
I like to be prepared.
Backstack is really
I know.
Okay.
Do we know, while we're talking about that, do we know, we talked a couple times last school year about the parking outside of the middle school. I'm assuming it's gonna be the same kind of thing with the orientation on 7th. Did we talk about not letting people park in front of fires on?
Oh, right, it's half open house, barbecue.
So our open house is,
7, right, ours would be 8 with the barbecue.
so I think that helps.
Well, we were saying, so, towards the end of last year, you know, we get people that are parking on the lawn, they park in front where the fire lane is and all of that sort of thing. And one of the parents that was here also works for the fire department was noticing how much of a fire hazard that is in case something did happen. So we talked a couple of times about maybe catching up with Tony.
At the school safety meeting, so I didn't go last month because it was the same week that I was on vacation, the Board of Ed meeting was. But they had, actually, that had come up in conversation, and the fire chiefs had said that they'd like to relook at the fire zone, and on a night like the barbecue or the talent show or, you know, some of the other big ones, when it becomes an issue, they'd like to like cone it off or in some, in some way,
Temporary
until
no
people
parking.
really get back to use the parking appropriately, really. But
So I guess the question is.
lines came up in that meeting because there's no parking lines
Right.
anywhere, and there's no real.
I think we're waiting to repay the parking lot for the
To
last
pay,
5 or
yeah.
7 years or something.
Well, can I ask each of the appropriate building principals to touch base with Tony for your respective open night orientation, whatever meetings, to make sure that if a specific area should be coned off, that facilities is aware so that they can coordinate.
It's usually not a problem at the elementary school because that
It's a
circle
little
is
nearer.
usually left alone because there's, you know, like the tables are set up right there, and for the most part, people don't park there, but they park over here in the.
So it may still be.
We will,
Yeah, but there's still but they still overflow like right into in the fire lanes and, you know, what have you, really haphazard.
say, if you want.
Something going
Something
on.
wrong with them, yeah.
On driveway, just,
That's the big deal happens, yeah.
because there are people who park on the curb
Right.
Right.
as well as.
In the spots, and then you have on the curb, and then there's often not a lot of space around the corner, you know, I mean.
Well, I'll leave it to the building principals, you guys talk with Tony, and figure out, and if he needs to talk to any of the fire personnel, if they need to put their 2 cents in, as far as what would be appropriate for coning or signage or whatever for the orientation days, just so that if we start the school year off with that practice of knowing that there's gonna be some, it might kind of set the trend of things, especially if those 2 nights are.
And the fire station does the cooking at the barbecue, I don't know if you do that, so there's plenty of firemen on hand that night to, one of them probably wouldn't mind being here a couple minutes early to say, this is how much space we need to get a fire truck in here, type of a deal.
Sorry. They're parking in the back too. That's in the back. All over the place. And football, that's kind of. I can't remember the last time I was football.
There are teams of practice over there, so.
Right, so I'm just
But-
wondering on open house.
Last season, we told the coaches, I mean, my boys practiced over there last season, that it was open house, back to school barbecue, and they changed the day to practice, so that there wasn't practice on that Thursday, they did it on Wednesday or
Is
Friday.
that what communicated then this year?
I can get in touch with the league and just let them know barbecue night is the 8th, And then your open house is the 7th, so they may want to, for those 2 nights, either, you know, postpone practice or not have it here, do it at, you know, KAS or PCS or the old high school, or, you know, just in general. I can get that to our coaches. Good. I had the resignation letter in here, but it's not here, so I made it into the packet. That was the resignation letter for Lori Malstrom, who was the assistant financial secretary, sorry, I put business in there too, in the business office. And I was told that it was, I guess, impacting the not. And I was just making that official as far as accepting the resignation. But may you say that?
I don't know that we need to, because you did really encourage them.
I just know that we do a teacher, so that
I do it with the teachers.
and she's part of the, it's
Except for
part of the.
resignation with regrets and
Okay.
and make it official.
I don't recall ever doing that with, 1303, unless, you know, with something, you know, 30 years, I don't know, but.
Like a more for retirement. I was under the, I was kind of making the assumption because the teachers are part of the union and we accept their resignation, granted, they already done it.
They've already retired.
Exactly, I was assuming that it was kind of along the same process. Yeah, exactly. Formality. I'm not accepting any more resignations.
Yeah,
Before-
sorry.
Okay, okay. So we acknowledge, Lori's resignation with regrets and filling this, or I know that Joan has mentioned some stuff in the transportation stuff. All right, any public comments? Please. Great. So, budget, we're gonna kind of sideline budget right now just because of the financial advisor here, director, can't interpret the reports. Curriculum, as Alan Shelley get, 2 feet into or 4 feet as case may read into the school year, I'm sure you guys will be talking to us more about what kind of curriculum developments are going on and what we need to do, and if you need the board's assistance approving anything at all. Joan,
Policy, that final packet that we had from Dave that was complete for review without doing, you know, the last 15 months of updates was pending with Lori. And I checked with Denise, just gave Denise what I had given Lori before her departure. And I know it's not on the top of her list to do because I'm making her crazy with transportation. I think she's got 100 other things. So it's still pending for now. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I see that we're
streaming, yeah, we're streaming. Say hi, everybody. So we are streaming, so we've set up a YouTube, a Board of Ed YouTube channel, so that we can stream these meetings. We finally have the wireless figured out, thanks to the help with Glenn and Glenn Lessig and Jeff Telhart. So we've got that figured out, we can stream, we can get online, we're good. So if you want to follow along when you're not able to make it, you just go to YouTube, do a search on Brooklyn Board of Ed, you should find us. I also will be posting on the mornings of the Board of Ed meetings the direct link that you can go to see the live stream if you want to do that too. So we do that on the Brooklyn Matters Facebook page. So it's there. The other thing, the update on the website, I talked with Glenn about the website too. So it was ideally we were going to have the website launched in time for school to start, but that happening next week. That's not going to happen. He was set back a little bit. Called content migration. So there was a lot more content to pull over from the current site than he had anticipated. So he's in trying to get everything from the current site over to the new site.
Is it possible for him to just do an update of like teachers and administration? that like a-
On the current side.
On the current
Yeah,
side,
well, I'll check
just
with them on that, yeah.
some different, like,
Well,
Yeah.
not they're actually elevated.
that's true, so.
So we'll make sure that that happens, and then I offered my help, that's kind of what I do for work, and he said, he'll keep it in mind, but he did ask if we could, as a board, get together and make a board picture for the website. So,
I thought
Yeah.
Diane has,
Diane does it.
but I think the one that she has, at least the one that she's for the yearbook had Eric photoshopped in, with a ski jacket on or something like that, so, we might want to get a more formal one. Maybe go to a picture day or something. I don't know. Picture day. Yeah.
How about we Photoshop everybody in there, everybody can choose it.
Get a corona in his hand on a beach. So I don't know, anyway, he had asked about that. Maybe if Diane does have one, check with her, see if she's got it.
Take one, I remember. Well,
Yeah.
it's Photoshopped in
Yeah, so we'll check. I think somebody was missing a book.
Okay. I think Joan wasn't in the first
I was
one.
there.
You were,
Oh, I was in the second one.
yeah, I don't think
One
you were
else.
in the first one, and I think the second one was missing somebody else, and there was a Photoshop.
Who's got a copy of your book?
Must be on the library.
Okay. Anything else from?
No, that's it.
As far as capital facilities, capital hasn't met recently. I have to touch base with Joe. He had some information about the architect that we were going to be possibly talking with to do the whole roof thing. We just have not connected yet, my fault. So I'm going to do that later this weekend, to do that. That's all I have right for facilities.
Econ met, yeah, last night. And, it was primarily about closing out the end of their fiscal year, and they report that they were 600,000 to the good, with a $75 million budget. They talked about how, the state of Connecticut and funding schools is just great, and there's 30 alliance districts that are benefiting with funding, Killingly and Putnam being two of them. They talked about how state grants continue to decrease. At one point in time, each time their budget, half of it was grant money, now they're down like 20 million when it was. What else? Oh, magnet schools, so they're QBMC, that there's a lot of pain there with funding and being a break even. Oh, and we're gonna start a negotiation committee for P59. And that was really exciting. Head Start, they hired 40 new staff. Their meetings are, 40 minutes, boom, 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 bye.
Kelly and Joe, anything from, anything additional from Wizard Academy?
Did you want to?
We were doing this Tuesday, so.
Oh, wow.
I can go. I had to work. But I can tell you that the Board of Trustee reception is next Thursday. So I'll be going to that. They're pretty much ready for the start of school. Isn't anything else really going on?
Anything for Kelly?
I did reach out to Gary, who's the principal there, actually, it's pretty good set. So I promise you we continue to set that first year.
Anything from recreation? Joe, can I put you on hold for a second so we can do the other two and we'll come back to you? Okay. Nothing from, Eric, give me anything from Board Selective. Board of Finance, last week, they accepted the official resignation of G. Michael Deary because he moved out of town, so they will be looking for a new member of the Board of Finance. The Democratic Town Committee has put it out that because G. Michael was Democrat, they're looking to possibly fill it with a Democrat, or at least put forth that recommendation. But just like the Board of Ed's vacancy, the Board of Finance can decide who they want to, because I think their split is still good that correct? Yes.
I didn't get it last.
Well, because your Democrat-Republican split is still okay, so the Board of Finance ultimately has the decision to do that, so possibly the next meeting there'll be.
There doesn't seem to be too much competition throughout.
No, okay. So you don't have people beating down the door. Hey, I just would like to let you know, Board of Ed, we got 2 years. Board of Finance, 6. So, yeah, can't be 6 years, so yeah, count me out for that one right now. So if anybody does have an interest or knows somebody that might have an interest in public service on the Board of Finance, I'm sure Mr. Otto would happily take your information, or anybody from the Democratic Town Committee, or anybody in general. Go see Kate, who's the assistant town clerk, or let me know, and I can put you in contact with the right people. So if anybody wants to do something, or know somebody, go ahead. All right, so circling back to you, Ms. Jones. Transportation.
Well, transportation has had its snags, for sure. I can't say enough about how hard both offices have been working to help make this right. We did have a point person, Lori Maelstrom in the office, who was kind of coordinating on behalf of, chasing Carrie and Cindy and Maria with special ed buses and doing all of that. And, having Lori as a point person was fantastic, and Lori's not here anymore. So we've kind of desegmented, and everybody's trying to grab their pieces. And the same thing was happening. We've had all these people that were working with all these people at M&J, and as a result of that, we regrouped today and iron things out and determine, exactly what we have for kids, exactly what we have for routes, and made sure that, every student has a place on a bus, on a route, and we're, by noon tomorrow, should have everything finalized. So it is late, it's later than it usually is. We know that we made a huge change here by, switching over from first student to M&J. And we knew there would be hiccups along the way, the resignation for sure, in a big way. But honestly, I can't say enough about how much, Joanne, Denise, everyone, Cindy has jumped in to help kind of get things on track and make sure that we're not missing anything. It's moving target, as all summer, we've got kids going in and out.
If we've got, if you're saying that we've got people coming in registered, then that's all possibly also
Terry.
She has been, and you have to actually take a report because it's a brand new bus company for us. You have to take a report out of Administrator Plus with 1,100 kids and 1,100 addresses. And then, oh, by the way, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Johnny gets dropped off at Village Green, and on Tuesday, Thursday, Johnny gets dropped off over here. So all those factors have to come into play, and you have to actually sit and map, every one of those kids, and then realize that you've got to get them on the right bus. You've got to have pre-K kids on pre-K buses, elementary kids on elementary buses, and middle school kids on middle school buses. So the route optimization is done. The issue really was, what came in wasn't necessarily what came out of optimization. So it was just having the second set of eyes, clear things up. We had hoped to get it in the turnpike fire. It would have been disastrous. I think we put in the turnpike fire. There were just too many other things.
And the bottom line is,
checked.
if you looked at the list on the outside of the school, forget everything you said.
Right.
I think we've taken it down 3
Yeah,
times.
We
this
have.
week,
So by tomorrow at noon, we are going to be confident and comfortable, and things are going to get out there by email. So as you, parents, please, as you're talking to other parents, the plan is that each building principal will send an e-blast to families telling them this is the time, this is the bus number, this is when your child will be picked up. And then we have all the high schools on standby. They're willing to separate in their e-blast for Blue Kids only and send e-blast to them as well. And then I know Keith will help me put it up on social media in some way.
Yep.
So we're going to hit it all those ways.
So right.
How will we get that?
How will you get it? From Denise. Yeah.
And you should have that by noon tomorrow.
Noon
So
tomorrow.
when people call, you'll have something they can hand out or something.
And the bus company will be fielding the phone calls because that's the other issue we have. We don't have a person here anymore. we don't have a transportation coordinator. So they're gonna take that on. They've made sure that they have, you know, a point person, a backup person, they have voicemail, they have everything they need. You know, I truly, even though we've had these administrative problems, I still feel very good about what we're doing. The routing is much better than it was. Kids are gonna be spending less time on the bus. Yep, we're gonna be saving the time kids are on bus. We're gonna be saving the number of buses that we're running. You know, less fuel, less time, less driver time. High school kids are gonna be picked up at home and delivered to their school, picked up from their school and delivered home. They're not gonna come here and be shuffled anymore. There's a lot of good things going on. It's just, you know, getting through those first couple weeks of implementation and, you know, then things will calm down.
Well, I can speak a little bit too. I know that just looking over the routes quickly, I saw a drastic reduction in the amount of time that kids are on. So that was the first thing to remember is that I did know that Cindy was calling preschool parents.
She's called all of them.
I was one of them, but like actually calling them to let them know whatever the changes were, whatever, because they're not currently in our ELAS system.
109 of them.
So she was going through the list and she adopted the G's, which that's me, so.
It is.
But, so I know that they are. Are you a new preschool parent? Oh, all right then.
It's just that all preschool parents.
Well, the new preschool parents, so let them know what because the ones that aren't in the list.
Are you trying to say I'm old?
I'm saying you're old parent. You're not a new parent anymore. So, so I know that there was some on that. So any other update from you? Because I know we need to go to we're gonna go.
Nope, that's it.
We're gonna make a little segue to the public with the public comment that we passed off. So, okay.
Transportation question. I know the routes were taken down off the website. I have 2 high school students, well, a new one this year going to Killingley, and I have a junior going to Ellis. I noticed that his route has got extremely long because the bus was taken away. There was 2 buses for Ellis last year, there was now 1. When there was 1 bus for Ellis on early release days, he was on the bus for an hour and 45 minutes. When Dr. Berry requested to have the 2nd bus last year, his ride got cut down to 35. So I'm concerned about his ride home with the 1 bus. According to the route that was on the website initially, I know changes are being made. It was an hour and 10 minutes, but I know that's not accurate because for 2 years it was an hour and 45 minutes when there was 1 bus.
I can look into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm
definitely
concerned about him getting home after middle school kids got home. I know Killingley, their day was extended to 2:25.
Right.
My daughter's getting home before he is. So, yeah, that's my main concern. Okay.
So we'll definitely have Joan take a look at that, especially since there's some tweaking that went on. So there may be some further tweaking from the latest post that you.
There was one more because I stopped at the bus garage yesterday because I was trying to get in touch with is it Amy? Yes. And she wasn't answering the phone and there was no answer machine, so I drove there. Yes, right. She told me yesterday that has been corrected and there is voicemail now.
Yeah.
When I spoke to her yesterday, I was concerned because on the route for the Ellis, the bus wasn't coming by our house. It was missing us.
It will be.
Okay. All right.
We're
Or
just
the
today.
Okay.
What
All right. Christian Hill. So, and I spoke to her again today because she was going to talk to the driver, and she did tell me that, you know, everything is being worked on, and I just wanted to follow up with her and voice my concerns here as well.
Thank you.
So my concern was group stops for high school, but it sounds like I have your assurance that they're coming to my house, you're not standing on the corner of this road.
There's no corner stop.
That's all I wanted.
Any other post comments? I just wanted to lump all the transportation, so.
I'll give you a letter on receipt.
Oh, okay.
I already told you.
Well, in high school, do that.
Okay.
That's my son.
Courtney? Yes. I should say, there's no new corner stops. If there was a corner stop for high
Since
school
Stephanie
kids,
was in
I'm
kindergarten, the high school bus is driven by our driveway at 6:35 every morning. And when I talked to them this morning, they said they want her to wait at the top of Premier Brook on Allen Hill.
Has it always been a corner stop?
Jimmy got on the bus at the house, it goes by, we watch it since she's been in kindergarten. There's the high school bus, when you're in high school, you're getting on that bus, it's gone by our house. And it stopped for other kids on the road over the years.
Let me check on that, because as of our meeting today, there's no new corner stops. But if it was a corner stop, only for high school kids, this is not elementary or pre-K, but if it was a corner stop, it remained a corner stop. So let me just double check.
Because she can't,
There was no corner stop there,
There was
because
no
I
corner.
drive by there every morning at that
Okay.
time.
Well, if there's
I
no
think,
corner
well,
stop.
yeah, actually, that's the time they said is when I'm usually going to school and there never takes them.
No.
And that corner doesn't get plowed until 2 or 3 days after a snowstorm.
So,
And
so
I
the bus
didn't
goes
fear
down,
going to school every morning because of the way the sun rises over that hill. You cannot see. I'm afraid I'm going to hit a runner every day. I don't want my child walking on that
There's no
road.
streetlights. There's no streetlights for when you change the clocks and it's dark out when you get to make the buses.
Yeah.
So,
Not a safe spot.
um,
all right, let me double check just to be sure.
I was also told when I was talking to a couple of bus drivers that they had stated that they were trying to alleviate all group bus stops because of what happened to a student last year that got hit by a car on South Street. He was walking to his bus stop and it was a hit and run. So they were saying they were trying to have house-to-house pickup spots and no more walking to group stops.
And we'll find out and get back to both of you.
Okay, will the bus garage be open after tomorrow?
After
She,
Well, you said it's posting at noon and,
No, the information is due to us
Oh,
from
okay.
M&J by noon tomorrow.
all right.
And our goal is to do a look over and then get everything out through the e-blast system. Yeah, I mean, no later than. I know, hopefully tomorrow, no later than, I don't even know what day it is. No, I've learned more about bus in the last 6 months.
On that bus thing, just real quick, we haven't gotten too much feedback from any other boards in town as we're rewriting our entire regulations for zoning in town. One of the things that I had brought up then was that we mandate group bus stops. And I said, that's strange, because we have nothing to do with buses other than that. So if that might be a recommendation that your board wants to,
Someone said zoning mandates group busing.
not someone said, I read it right out of our subdivision.
Not
right
for
out.
school buses.
Just in our subdivision rights, we require on a private road that there be a group bus stop at the beginning of the private road.
Oh, you mean just for safety, that there be a place where kids could stand? That they
Yes, so
designate a
from
spot.
what I'm hearing, if that's not,
But are you saying subdivision regulation? So as a subdivision of housing, so little tiny streets, not,
right,
So
houses
any
that are
new
not
subdivisions, they
next to
will
each other.
designate a spot for a group bus stop.
well,
In
new
case
as
it's
of
needed.
19, I mean, those are old, those are 1978. So new as of 78, so
I don't think
anything
that
that,
one's actually been
I don't think we would
adhered
work
to
with.
it, no.
Where it might end up coming up is we're dealing with that section of town that has not real roads, but community roads, and that's over by Paradise Lake, so as we're redoing that whole zone, that's where it's gonna come up.
Well, I can see that. I mean, even in Quebec Square, we don't stop at every single unit. I mean,
So they're just saying leave a spot where it'll be safe for the children to wait. Yes.
I would say if it's
That
not
makes
the board's recommendation, they get that in now while we're revising.
if you're saying subdivision bus stop, and I'm not looking at the language, like I hear like a subdivision of houses that are all close to each other, whatever, not
right.
regular, like houses that are, like houses or condos
Yeah.
versus,
Right. But like the
You know, normal-
74 house subdivision that was years ago, that would be one bus stop where it hits the road.
But it's not saying that we have to have group bus stops, but
Right.
if you're creating a subdivision, they want them to designate a spot where it would be safe for the group bus to wait.
If you're subdividing.
If we may have a policy that says we're not doing group bus stops, but they're still saying they should designate a spot where it would be safe for the children.
do we have a policy
I
about
would
group
recommend
bus
that
stop?
your recommendation might be to eliminate that. if it's
Well, the
not
state
regulated
wants that.
anywhere else in our law.
Alright, so, but there are,
Doesn't mean we have to do it, it's just saying that the subdivision should allow a place for schoolhouse.
so with the new bus company, are they stopping at every
Are they picking up kids at every house?
They are doing what First Student did before. So.
So there are
that-
kids that will not be picked up at my house. So my old house, I had to bring the kids to Day Street. So that's still normal.
They said where there was corner stops remain. There are no new corner stops, but the majority of the corner stops were high school students. So maybe that was like one exception.
I think it's a lot. Unfortunately, there's a number,
One.
which is why I didn't put my kids on the bus. Because if I have to put them in my car
Yeah.
to drive them up the road, I'm going to drive 5 more minutes to school.
We did ask them today to take out all corner stops except for high school students.
Okay,
So let's see if
well,
we
that would
get
be
back
good.
to Mount Apple.
Well, that was on a town road.
It's not road. Absolutely, the baseball fields are at the end of the road. It's a regular road, and there's a turnaround at the end of it. Big turnaround. So, and we always had to bring the kids up there, and it sounds like, although this being a separate issue, is the same thing. And that is, honestly, I mean, that's why I just always drop the kids off at school, because in the winter, there's,
Out there,
well,
right.
you stand, but you stand.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea with
On the
making
road.
this change from First Students to M&J was to take care of things like that,
Mhm.
amongst, recognizing. So I can verify that.
Hi, my question just is on the, like, for instance, we live on South Street and we're looking on like 3 or 4 different buses, so will the new list have street ranges, number ranges? Just wanted to make sure.
No, we don't, well, there should be ranges, there's not gonna be specific.
Right,
numbers.
so yeah, so we see the 100 to 200.
I will make sure of that, yeah.
And just as a side note, they fixed the preschool issue?
Yeah.
Not all kids are gonna ride on one bus for 2 hours.
No, there's 2
Yeah,
buses
that's-
now.
Because although Molly would be the last stop on the route, I would not put her on the bus with 3 and 4-year-olds that have been on the bus for 2 hours. Yeah, no.
It's just gonna be messy, I can just
I don't
say.
think anyone wants to be on that bus.
No, and just bring her down the road
It's funny
and,
though, when we talked about that,
yeah,
Right.
it
that
should
was
be.
what we talked about.
They're 3 and 4-year-olds.
I don't know, you don't want her to ride like, on the bus 4 hours a day.
No, no, and not to get on last. I mean, her ride is 10 minutes each way, which is beautiful. But I'm like, I'm not subjecting you to that group of kids.
Okay, Jones, in your conversations with transportation tomorrow, if you can address.
It might be.
They're fully aware of it.
They are.
Okay, well, I'm just, and on the things, well,
Thanks.
on
Thanks for that.
the things that you're checking on the Christian Hill, you're checking on the Ellis Tech, but just add,
Christian Hill, corner stop, quirky question, South Street, number ranges, behind, like, the subdivisions, like, behind Johnny's, Ellis Tech, one bus group. That's like,
okay. I'm just making sure that we add that to the list,
Yeah,
that
got it.
that's
And I'll add the.
gonna be addressed and taken care of, and when we have the final schedule and time for all that stuff, we know that if that's actually taken care of in whatever.
What about the study that we just talked about?
That's gonna be
Okay.
addressed. That's what I'm saying, is that it's a transportation issue, so
Yeah,
since Joan is checking, would we just add that to the laundry list of specific
Yeah.
checks that we're gonna be doing tomorrow, once the final information comes in? Does anybody have any new business? I didn't have anything that I need to bring. Anybody else have any business that they want to bring up? No. As far as old business, I know that, Mr. Yankee and Mr. Strad had talked about that they were going to be presenting the climate surveys with also, the path that the school wanted to take after they've done their PE days at the beginning of the year, let teachers and the staff have their input on that, and then kind of what do we do now? So that will be in our information for next month.
Oh, that made me think of Woodstock. Their climate survey came out with Joan Border, and they were fantastic. The results that they shared with us were really,
And their
really,
participation rate was amazing.
was huge.
Yeah, I mean, 700 out of 1,100 kids, are you kidding me?
Plus 200 parents,
Yeah.
100 staff, I think.
Unreal. Yeah.
So,
And
and
200 parents.
yep, and like 100 staff, I think it was there, and they were all like 98% said something, you know, that I can talk to my teachers. 98% think that they're treated well by their peers, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So it was,
feeling safe.
it made me think about that.
Good point.
Thank you. All right, any public comments? Awesome.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Kelly makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Awesome.
Keith seconds it. Any questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No, nobody opposed?
And I think that's where
Hi. I know, Andy gets it. Yeah, I know, it's like, why did I sign up to do this? How do I get?
Yeah, be sure to email.